What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having a great start to your week. It's Monday, and we've got some Eagles news. Now, I've got a little bit of time before this next appointment, so going to try my best to get this information to you. Eagles making some roster moves. We've got day 9 of training camp going on. We will talk about what went down later. If I can make a live one, get home in time. If not, I'll recap it when I can. But we've got some moves, so we're going to talk about these new players and a returning player. And if you've got anything on your mind, something you'd like to add, any of these players in depth, love to hear from you. But let's jump right into this. How we staying busy? And David Blay, Jaquindon Jackson, and Tarron Jackson have all been added. Now, Elijah Mitchell was banged up, and he will be placed on IR. Unfortunate for him. And then Jaden Roberts was waived along with Dae'Quan Wright. No, which... Big fan of Dae'Quan Wright. I like Jaden Roberts' size too, but look, these are undrafted kids. These are all potential pieces. Looking at depth, right? None of these guys are going to be starting, so not a big deal. But those were the moves that were made. Now let's get – look, Tarron Jackson. He's been on and off this team a few times. So, look, I don't really need to talk about him. An edge guy that provides you a special teams ace and – a preseason darling. So it's his time to shine coming up in 5 days. Our first preseason game, 34 days until our first regular season game. Let's go. Sorry, it is storming out here. This is the second time I'm trying to make this. My power went out. At one point I was making it. Herschel's scared as hell, so he's right here next to me. But look, I appreciate you all. Let's get right into this. Let's talk about these newer players. And again, Jackson, we know. But let's take a look at the running back we've added, Jaquindon Jackson. And this is someone who was an undrafted free agent last year out of Arkansas, spent a couple years at Utah and then Arkansas. But look, he didn't do anything in the NFL. So we're going to take a look at his last year of actually playing, and that was at Arkansas. So we'll take a look at his stats there. But this is somebody who spent a few years at Utah before transferring to Arkansas, where he graduated 6'2", 229. This is a bruiser, a powerful running back. I know people are going to instantly have him making the team because of that. So, look, I like his style. He's a former quarterback, somebody that I think, that's always intriguing, but somebody that definitely needs to work on his pass protection and not exactly the greatest in the receiving game. You can see he had, 10.7 yards per catch there. So not horrible, but 3 fumbles. You want to clean that up. 5.3 yards per carry is great. 15 rushing touchdowns. So this is a goal line back, 24 years old, a bruiser, man. And I'm all about adding competition. You lose Elijah Mitchell there. We'll take a look at the updated depth chart, but adding to the mix with Dameon Pierce, Carson Steele, and, if you want to consider Will Shipley on the bubble, but I don't. But anyways, Jaquindon Jackson's here. Another camp preseason body. See what he's got in the next few weeks here. Now, the next player is David Blay Jr., who was undrafted this season out of Miami. Spent a few years at Louisiana Tech before going there, but he did not play, obviously, yet, but he was already released by the Patriots. So we're going to go back to his final year at college here last season. Miami going to the national championship. And this is a rotational piece who did get starts, 9 starts there. No sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, 28 tackles, 1 pass deflected. You're not looking for stats for a guy that's more of a one-tech, nose tackle type of guy. 292, going to have to bulk up a little bit. Not necessarily in the, this league, especially in this system, but 6'2", 292, the way he plays, probably want to add a little bit of muscle strength. He's only 23 years old here, but spent 2 years at Louisiana Tech before Miami. Now, this is a kid from Levittown. I used to live in Levittown. That's awesome. But he went to Westchester before, finally making it to the FBS. But this is a hometown kid who's going to come in here, and he provides you depth, and 5.08 isn't horrible for a nose tackle. A 69.4 2025 PFF grade, not horrible either. So, again, take all these stats and PFF grades and all that stuff with a grain of salt, as always. But just keep in mind that, you're adding depth to a position. You just got rid of Tae'Quan Graham. So you add these guys, obviously you got rid of Wright and Mitchell's on IR and you made room. So we're going to take a look at where this adds depth, and we'll continue to talk about the battles as they go. But let's take a look at the updated depth chart. And yeah, I already made an injury list because, well, the injuries have started. So on the PUP list is Jonathan Greenard. Hope to have him by week 1. Tucker Large was waived with that injury designation, but when they are not claimed, they revert to IR. That's why he's there. And then Elijah Mitchell placed on IR. So I believe these guys are all active, IR and PUP, so they can come off at any time. I think Mitchell probably get waived with the injury designation and then go there, but we'll see how things go exactly. But that is how the special teams look. Or I'm sorry, not special teams, the injury report. Now, you've got yourselves an offense that has a lot of great competition here. McKee and Dalton as the backups, all kinds of stuff. But adding Jaquindon Jackson, I think to me, Shipley's 3, but do you keep 4? So you got Pierce, Steele, Jackson. Steele can provide you some, play a little fullback, some return man. So you've got guys that can do things. Jackson brings you that power runner. So let's go. Bringing competition for Pierce, Bigsby, I'm down. Now, adding, someone like, I think, getting rid of Wright, you didn't need to really worry about, because look at that, 2, 4, 6, 7 tight ends there. So we've got a lot of competition. And as I mentioned, I like the kid, but a really high uphill battle to go there. So it is what it is. But you can see here, obviously, what's going on with the offense. We talked a little more in depth yesterday, but just wanted to show you what it looks like adding the running back to the mix. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you can see, David Blay added in there. And then, of course, Tarron Jackson, I have moving in front of some guys that are injured and just not showing up, whatever it is. But you've got 8 guys competing now at edge with Greenard on PUP list for now. So the rest of it, that's how she looks. And then the special teams, you can see, always going to try to keep you up to date with all of these moves every time they happen. But yeah, I'm excited. So maybe you grew up in Levittown. Maybe you went to Westchester. David Blay. Maybe you're a fan of Arkansas, or I don't know. You got something on Jackson. Love to hear your thoughts on these moves. But that's all I've got for you here today. I appreciate you all taking the time, tuning in. Storms are crazy out there, so stay safe out there. I'm going to try to do a live one later. If not, we'll get it in tomorrow at some point. Just depends on how this work schedule goes. But appreciate you all taking the time, hitting the like button, sharing, all that stuff. You guys have been really helpful. We're almost back, baby. Almost a month away. Let's effing go. But I hope you have yourselves a great rest of your day. But until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all stay safe out there, and as always, say it with me now, sickos. Go Birds!